good afternoon or good morning, depending, or maybe even good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. I am Doris Mold, and I am one of two co-CEOs for Annie's Project, and we're thrilled to have another showcase this today highlighting South Carolina. And we do showcases. If you've participated before, we did showcases last year, and this is the first of this year. We had a little bit of a vacation, but we're back on track with our showcases and thrilled to have our showcase on developing mission, vision, and value statements to drive your agribusiness. We're very happy and pleased that we have Farm Credit as a legacy partner for Annie's Project, and we'd just like to give them a shout out and a thank you for their sponsorship of Annie's Project and in particular of today's showcase. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our other co-CEO, Carisha Devlin, and she will be introducing our showcase and telling you just a bit more about Annie's Project.
Thank you, Doris. Welcome, everyone. We're so glad to have you with us today. Just a few comments about Annie's Project. Annie's Project is a 501c3 organization, and we've been around for around 21 years now. And our mission is to empower women in agriculture to be successful through education, networks, and resources. We have over 23,000 women across the country who have gone through our various Annie's Project courses. And we have over 950 facilitators that help us deliver those courses across the United States and one U.S. territory. So if you'd like to find out more information about us, we invite you to visit our website, www.anniesproject.org. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our presenter for today. Charley Maxwell is an area agribusiness agent with Clemson University in South Carolina. And Charley serves as the program coordinator for Annie's Project in South Carolina, and she also works with the South Carolina New and Beginning Farmer Program. Charley is passionate about all things agriculture and enjoys working with the South Carolina Women in Agriculture Network. They have a big conference that they do every year, and they offer a diverse range of programming to reach women in agriculture. And Charley, we're so glad to have you as one of our facilitators and also our program coordinator for South Carolina. And Charley really is a powerhouse. She's done some remarkable things in South Carolina for women in agriculture. So Charley, I'd like to turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So as Carisha said, and I decided to cover up my welcome slide, but that's okay. As Carisha said, I am an area agribusiness agent with Clemson Cooperative Extension in South Carolina, and we do things a little bit differently in South Carolina. So I wanted to go over our structure a little bit so that you can understand a little bit better how we do programming. We have the state divided into 5 different districts. We actually just went through a redistricting recently. So I'm over here on the coast in Horry County, and I cover for agribusiness, Horry, Georgetown, and Williamsburg. For Annie's Project and for the South Carolina Women's Agricultural Network, that covers the entire state. And then Carisha mentioned I'm part of the South Carolina New and Beginning Farmer Program. I get to serve as an advanced workshop coordinator for that program. And my territory goes from Horry all the way down here to Jasper on the coast, and then over here to the Barnwell area. So it's kind of this most eastern region of the state. So I get to work with a lot of different producers, varying levels of experience and size and enterprises, and it's absolutely wonderful. I love what I do. And it's a little bit different in South Carolina. We're organized by program teams. So I'm on our agribusiness program team. These are all of our other program teams that help serve the state in an area agent capacity, except for our 4-H agents. They are county-based. They have one county. And I point out these program teams because we have a representative from each of these program teams on our Women in Ag Network committee to help us reach the most female producers possible across the state and to make sure that we are filling in all the gaps on topics that we can. So, to give you a little bit of background on women in agriculture programming in South Carolina, I started with Clemson in 2020. So, I really just kind of know before 2020 and after 2020. This was our original logo. There was only one Annie's Project coordinator slash facilitator for the state. Her name was Jennifer Boyle. She's an absolute treasure. She is who started the retreats in South Carolina. And I am very thankful to be trying to fill her shoes. She left me with an abundance of resources. We had the South Carolina Women's Agricultural Network website, and it was really just kind of a resource hub for women in the state to find service providers and mostly financial resources, but as well as some other programs that were being offered. And they could fill out a survey to join the network and be notified of when Annie's Project classes were coming up. We also have this Ladies Engaged in Agricultural Development program called LEAD. That is with our Livestock and Forages team. And then we have a Women Owning Woodlands chapter in South Carolina covering the forestry side. And I underline that website because it is really truly what it was. SC Wagon, or Squagon as we call it, was not holding its own programs before 2020. So in 2020, we rebranded, we got a committee together with all of these agents from the different program teams from all over the state. And we also got more people trained as Annie's Project facilitators. I did not want to be the only one available to offer classes, and I didn't want to just be in Horry County and have this whole rest of the state. So I wanted more facilitators spread throughout the state. So very excited that we now have 3 additional facilitators. We have a web committee, a website, newsletter, and events that are specific to our Women in Ag network. And we went from 91 members in 2020 to 986 members today as part of that network, which is really exciting. It really shows that we do have quite a few women to serve in our state. We still have LEAD and we still have WOW. So I get asked frequently how everything kind of works together. And so you can view the network as an umbrella program that Annie's Project, LEAD, and WOW fall under. But it really kind of is more like a circular living thing where everything feeds into each other. We have people who come to the Squagon website and they sign up for the newsletter, and then they learn about Annie's Project and they start coming to an Annie's Project class. And then sometimes I get an Annie's Project participant and that's their first extension program, or they haven't heard of the Women in Ag Network yet. And so then I feed them into being a network member. Then they find out about LEAD if they have a livestock focus, if they're a forester or forestry focus. They find out about the Women in Owning Woodlands program. So we all support each other and help our constituents in whatever capacity they need. And so it's a very nice supportive loop, basically. And so we're very, very thankful to have this set up. If we did not have Squagon and LEAD and WOW, I think we would have a ton more Annie's Inspired programs in our state. Right now, most of those programs that might be labeled as Annie's Inspired in another state are falling under that Squagon program logo. So Annie's Project in South Carolina 2012 to 2019, we offered 1 class a year, and it was that retreat style. It was an intensive 3.5 days, and it moved around the state, built up an incredible reputation for risk management education, and there was typically a waiting list and a notification list when the retreat was going to be offered again. So very solid foundation for Annie's Project when I started. Unfortunately, I did start in 2020, so I was not able to offer an Annie's Project class in 2020. We were very limited on the in-person programming we could do and didn't quite have the guidelines yet to do an online or a hybrid class. So we did not do anything until 2021. But that year of 2020 really gave me time to know our participants, because I was coming in as not only a new agent, but a new facilitator. So we did a long-term impact study for all of our past Annie's participants. I wanted to know what really stuck with them from the Annie's Project classes, what wish they had added in there, and what they were doing now. So that gave me a little bit of a good baseline to form our future classes. So we offered our first class in 2019 and 2021, and we did it as a hybrid class. So that was kind of fun. We did 6 weeks in the evening, and people could pick and choose if they wanted to come in person or virtually. We used a device called an owl so that they could hear and see each other really well. And we liked that model, and we've continued to offer that model where people can even pick and choose each week if they can come in person or online. We've also done the 100% virtual classes. When we do the 100% virtual, we typically do these over 3 weeks, and we will have 2 classes a week for 3 hours. So sometimes, depending on how the speakers and the agenda works out, we will do 3 weeks of Tuesdays and Thursdays. Some years we'll start on a Thursday and then do 2 solid weeks, and then we'll end on a Tuesday. It just depends on how everything works out. And those we typically offer during standard work hours, usually in the morning. And then we also, thankfully in 2022, we could bring back our retreat style program. Typically do the retreat in the summer. So early summer before it's really, really hot, May or June. And that is still 3.5 days. We are reevaluating how we do that with our current audience, but we do plan to offer another one in 2025. And we like that intensive offering for people who want to get away from the farm or really need that time to connect and get all that 18 hours in at one time. We are offering our first Know Your Numbers, Know Your Options right now. We're halfway through. We're really excited to be offering that, and we plan to continue offering it once a year. Right now, we might consider offering it more after we get this first class under our belts, but we've really enjoyed offering that more financially intensive offering. We've also started doing alumni tours. We did 2 in 2023. We need to pick them back up, but it's a great opportunity to get everybody back together, seeing each other's farms, getting updates on what's happening. And we've also included our South Carolina New and Beginning Farmer Program alumni in that programming because there's a lot of overlap there. We support each other a lot. I'll send people from Annie's Project to the New and Beginning Farmer Program and vice versa. So a lot of our alumni are the same. So we do include our New and Beginning Farmer alumni on those programs. We'll say we will continue to offer our hybrid and virtual options. When we offered our first ever online class, I had a participant who had been farming for over 30 years. And before we started offering virtual programming, she had never been to an extension program before. Her husband had always gone. And when she took Annie's Project that fall, it was her 30th extension program because so many were being offered online, and she was loving being able to get all of that information while she was still on the farm. And I thought that was really cool. And whenever we've done our needs assessments, we do see that people still want that online option. And so we're continuing to offer it in South Carolina. And I would say the only big difference between our hybrid and virtual options versus the retreat is the farm tour portion. So when you come to a retreat in South Carolina, we do go on at least 1 farm tour. Sometimes we can fit 2 depending on the timing. So this was this past summer's retreat. We went to Covered in Cotton in Darlington. They're a row crop operation that also has a retail store for their cotton. They have a wonderful mission, and we got to tour their operation and their store. So that's the only difference really in the agendas between the 2. All right, before I get to the next part, are there any questions about how we do Annie's Project in South Carolina? I have a tendency to talk quickly, so if I need to clarify anything, let me know. All right. So you will notice that our slide has completely changed how it looks, and that is because I pulled this directly from one of our Annie's Project presentations if we were presenting this during class. So I try to pick up on trends or topics that keep coming up over and over again across programming, or if I'm seeing it a lot on social media, on farm pages. And one thing I noticed was this uptick in conversation about farms having a mission, vision, and value statement. And I was like, oh, we don't include that in our Annie's Project classes, but I think we should. And so we've started offering this as part of usually our first day of the retreat or our first class when we're doing an online or hybrid class. And it really helps to set the tone and to get everybody in the right mindset of what their goals are, what their business looks like, and what they want to do in the future. And so whether you are a brand new farmer or you've been farming forever and you don't have any of these statements, or it's time to review your statements, it might have been a while, this is a great activity to go through. Your mission, vision, and values are the foundation of your business model, and they're going to provide direction and guardrails for everything you do. So starting with our mission statements, these focus on the present. It lists the broad goals for why your farm or your business was formed. And some questions to ask yourself when you are developing your mission statement. Why does my farm or business exist? What is its purpose? What does the farm or business do and why? And for whom does it do? Or who is your customer? Who are you reaching? And I will say some people will have a mission statement for their farm. And then if you have multiple entities that are doing different parts or different aspects of your business, you might have a mission statement for each of those, just depending on what your business structure is. And then for our vision statements, these are going to focus on the future of the farm or your business, and you should ask yourself these types of questions. What do I want my farm or business to be? What do I really want in life? How do I want to be seen or thought of when I interact with others? What values are most important and will not be compromised? And then how will the farm or business serve its owners, employers, and customers? And this, especially your vision statement, it is very important to loop in your people that you're working with. Maybe it's your family, people who are working with you on the farm, or maybe it's your trusted advisors. If you're in this kind of alone at the moment, you can still reach out to people, kind of get a sounding board, a little bit of help on how your business is perceived and how you want it to be perceived by others in the future. And then our values, and these are typically the easiest for people to come up with and to think of right off the bat. Oops. So our values are our set of morals and guidelines that we're going to use to run our business. And oftentimes they become what you are known for in your community. So you can ask yourself, what is my why? What are our standards? What are you not willing to compromise? And so some examples of words that are listed often on values: safety, family, excellence, community, respect, profitability, sustainability. And I put an asterisk next to sustainability because if I asked everybody that was on this webinar right now what their definition of sustainable was, I would get many different opinions, many different definitions. And so with our values, we know what these mean to us, But when the general public or a customer or even someone who's working for you sees these words listed out, that might mean something different to them than it means to you. And so it can be very helpful to either have these definitions written out or be prepared to explain what you specifically mean and how these look on your operation or in your business. And I'm going to stop sharing real quick. I have a couple of examples from some farms, and it's not pulling up like I thought it would. So give me 1 second. I'm just going to go ahead and open all the tabs, and then I'll show them to you. So what I like to do is pull up several different farm options, farms that have websites, have a web presence, but that are in different stages, different production styles. And let me see. Okay. So this is an example of a grain farm in New York. And on their website, when you go to information about their business, they have a video, but they also have their mission, vision, and their values listed. So I'll leave that up for a second, and I will point out that on their values, they provide how they demonstrate those values. So we operate with respect and dignity for customers and coworkers. We're responsible stewards of others, our land, and our communities. And I would say you will see about 3 to 5 values is a typical number. And these mission and vision statements are not long, and they're not intended to be long. You should be able to recite your mission and vision statement to whomever you're speaking to, and it shouldn't be several paragraphs long. They're usually about a paragraph. And then, so this is an example from a grain farmer. This is a farm in California that is more produce based. Let me find theirs again. Oh, they might actually have removed it. Okay. Titan Farms is in South Carolina. They're one of our biggest peach growers, and they have been very vocal about their farm's mission, vision, and values. And they have theirs scrolled down here on their website, which they updated recently. And they have been expanding their operations. So they have that their mission statement is to produce, process, and pack top quality fruits and vegetables while achieving the highest customer satisfaction. So that is what they're currently striving to do. And then they share in their vision statement that they will be the benchmark of the fresh and frozen fruit and vegetable industry by empowering their employees while capitalizing on industry relationships and innovative sustainable agricultural practices. And then they just have their values listed out here. And you will see that a lot of our farms do include environmentally friendly practices, safe, enjoyable work environment. And let me show you one more. So this is from an organic farm. And they also add their goals in on their website as well. So oftentimes our mission and our vision statements will feed directly into goals that we are trying to accomplish for our farms. They do, they list out their values and explain them a little bit more than some other examples that you've seen. I'm gonna stop sharing again. So if we were in one of our Annie's Project classes, I would have y'all either break out into breakout rooms, or we would spend about 10 to 15 minutes working on actually building out these statements. But we are not going to do that today. I'm actually going to give y'all about 2 minutes to pick one of these, either your mission, vision, or values, and just work through that process of doing kind of a brain dump. You might already have a mission and vision statement that you want to look at and review or revise, or you might want to start from scratch. Many people like to start with their values. In those mission and vision statements, you'll see a lot of these value words repeated in those. So I'm going to play something for 2 minutes. And when that ends, we will see if anybody would like to share. That was the end of the 2 minutes. Does anyone have maybe any values that they jotted down that are very important to their family and their farm? Or maybe you already have a mission statement and you went through and edited it a little bit? Ooh, awesome. You have a mission statement in the chat box: to cultivate a thriving, sustainable farm that connects people with nature, fosters community, and promotes healthy living through locally grown produce, engaging in educational experiences, and unique agritourism opportunities. At Cranfield Meadows, we are dedicated to preserving the beauty and traditions of historic nachos while inspiring individuals and families to embrace the joys of farming, wellness, and environmental stewardship. It was wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. We also have a worksheet that I will share with Doris and Krisha so that they can share it with y'all. Purdue Extension has an absolutely wonderful mission vision statement worksheet. Prompts you with questions to ask, has different categories to think about your farm currently and what you would like your farm to look like in the future. And by the end of that document, you will be able to put together a mission and vision statement. And so that's something that we use in South Carolina instead of reinventing the wheel. We really like Purdue's worksheet that they have. So we provide that to our attendees. And I know other states also have different versions of worksheets that can help you if you're starting from scratch. I've also had some participants use Chat GPT, and then they'll go through and they'll kind of edit it, but just to try to get the ball rolling if they're super stumped. But you might be thinking, okay, I've got these statements. Now what do I do with them? And one of the most important things to do is, if you are kind of alone writing these and you have a team that you're working with, share it with your people, get their input on these statements, and make sure that you're including everybody that's especially involved in management of your farm business, and make sure that everybody is on board with what the mission, vision, and values are. Keep the statements visible. So if we are frequently reminding ourselves of what our mission is, what our values are, what our vision is for the future, we're more likely to actually accomplish these things and to stick with what we are hoping to do. And it's also a good reminder if you're trying to decide a direction you're going to go in your business, or if an opportunity comes to you, you can remind yourself of those statements, and you can also keep them updated if they're more visible to you. If you are a farm that has employees, it's been proven that people who see those mission and vision statements and they really buy into them, they're more likely to stick with that business for the long term, and they're more satisfied employees, which I think is very interesting if you really live up to your mission, vision, and values. You want to review these annually. So if something changes in your farm leadership, maybe your goals have changed, you're in a different market, you're adding a new enterprise, your vision might change, your mission might stay the same, might not be needing an update, but your vision might change and might evolve. And you might find that you need to add in a value. Maybe your customers are constantly telling you that you're the most trusted source they have for whatever product. And you might not have that on your value list, but you might want to go ahead and add that if it's a attribute that is constantly being brought up about your business. But review them annually. It's good to review your business plan annually. So just sit down, even if it's just with yourself, if you're a one-person operation, and just review those and make sure everything's up to date. And then you can use them as web content. So if you have your farm on social media and you are trying to decide what you're going to post, if you've never publicly put out there what your mission statement is or your vision statement, you could use those as posts. You could also take each one of your values and create a video or a post on what that value is and what it means to your farm. Many of our social media specialists recommend that you have 3 pinned posts on Instagram or Facebook. And so what we've done on our Women in Ag page is we have our objectives and our mission and kind of just a general, like, who are we, pinned at the top of our social media page. So if anybody accidentally clicks on it, that's the first 3 things they see: what we're trying to do, what our goals are, and who we are. So they can be, if you are in a rut on social media posts, or you're trying to get engagement, you're trying to build out your farm website, we went through some of those examples, you can pull from these and use them to help tell your story and to get your information out there. All right. Wanted to leave some time for questions. I might have left too much time for questions. But does anyone have any questions or comments? We'll also gladly take comments.
So Charlie, you had mentioned using things potentially for social content. And if we look at a lot of companies, especially larger companies, it almost looks like their mission statement, their values statement end up being more of a marketing statement and looks like marketing campaign. Whether it's really what it is interesting to see how mission statements have evolved and how some are greatly different from others, and some of them come down to looking like a marketing slogan. What's your advice on where that balance should be for somebody that's in a farm or an ag business that they're trying to promote?
I think your mission statement should definitely focus on who your farm is and what you are at your core. I do agree, sometimes you'll see some mission statements and they do change quite frequently, and they'll try to pick up on all the buzzwords in the market and help to push their products through the market. But I do think your mission statement needs to stay true to who you are, and it can definitely be part of your marketing strategy, but I wouldn't try to change it to fit the current market. I think it needs to stay true to who you are as a farm, and just update it whenever you see a big shift in direction. But that's a good point. It is, we do see a lot of our mission statements out there from companies that are geared more towards marketing. Reading your question in the chat box. I think you explain everything very well in your mission statement. I do think if you almost wanted to just put the at Cranfield Meadows and that second part as your entire mission statement, I think that would get the heart of what you're doing. I also don't know you super well or your farm, but just based on what I'm reading, I think you could leave it at that last sentence there. But I'm also happy to speak with you more one-on-one and learn a little bit more about what you're doing and your goals as well. And that's the hard thing sometimes about when we have such a short time together with Annie's projects. A lot of it depends on the individuals and getting to learn them getting to know them a little bit better. But I would say you've got two great sentences there.
Well, and I'm also wondering, what your vision statement is. I'm a little curious, because, how do those two things meld together? Charlie, how do you I know you listed the components of
Mhm.
vision and the components of mission and the values, but um, how do you get those to, or do you look at all of those when you're working with people to kind of see that they're in sync with one another? Because people can say one thing in value statement, but then might say not reflect those in the vision or mission. And that vision is kind of more of that horizon, right? What we're driving
Mhm.
towards. Mission's what we're doing right now in our drive. And so
Mhm.
it's like, how do you help people make sure that all of those things are kind of in sync? And then how do you tie those back to goals that they might have? You mentioned goals a little bit there, but maybe you could delve into that a little bit.
So when I look at like just using and I apologize if I mispronounce your name, Zadier's example here, to me that beginning sentence that to cultivate a thriving, sustainable farm, that to me looks like a lot like a vision statement. That's what you want to see in your future. And I think it's important, like if you will see very similar words between a mission and a vision statement. Um, and like she just put in here to become a premier agritourism, you'll see that word a lot at the beginning, or that phrase a lot at the beginning of a vision statement. And I think you need to, it's very easy to overthink. But like if your mission statement includes, I think it was Titan Farms had that they were going to be premier fruit and vegetable producer, or that's what they are. And then their vision statement, they also mentioned that fruit and vegetables. So you want to make sure your enterprises line up in both of those. If you That's one thing that I've seen sometimes on business plans, that the mission statement and the vision statement won't include the same kind of farming operation. And then your values, you will frequently see several of your values in both your mission and your vision statement. But and Doris, I think I've gone off of what you asked me, but um they need to be cohesive in your base of what you're doing, and then your vision is what you want to see you known for in the long term, and it can include some new things. But most of the time you'll see the vision statement include becoming the best at something, or becoming more sustainable, more self-reliant. We'll see those types of things in our vision statement to become known for really what your mission is. And so we'll look for cohesiveness in those and for what you're trying to do. And then as far as the goals, so when you make your vision statement, so when you want to become a premier agritourism destination, you can set a SMART goal on that. What is that going to look like for you? When do you want to hit that mark? Maybe you're increasing your attendance at your agritourism events 20% by in 2 years from now, or whatever your goal is. So I think you can specifically break down your vision statement and create SMART goals based on what you see in your future. And you can adjust those goals just like you can adjust your vision statement. Something big might happen and you might decide you don't want to do agritourism anymore, and that doesn't want to be part of your vision statement. Does that make sense?
Yes. And we do have the vision statement in here. I don't know if you saw that in the chat.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Are there any other questions?
Charlie, I had a quick one. As AI becomes more and more part of our lives, I have heard that there's actually different programs, AI programs that you could download that could develop a mission statement or vision statement for you that you put in keywords.
Mhm.
Have you ran across any of those? And if so, what caveats would you share with the group as far as, when do you just kind of, how do you still make that your own and not just go with some generic whatever is tossed out?
Yes, I had one participant use Chat GPT for it, and it did, I don't know, I think she used Chat GPT, but it pulled from some of her farm documents that she gave it access to. And so it did kind of personalize to what she was doing, which was fascinating. I need to educate myself more on how all these different ones work. But I will say, like, if you just type in, create a mission statement for a farm named blank that does blank, it'll most likely pop out some very, very generic statements for you. So reread them, edit them to make sure that they sound like your voice, your company's voice, and that there's not just a bunch of buzzwords that they have thrown in there that are trendy. And you can also, there's several different services that you can use online and copy and paste yours in and make sure that it is not word for word somebody else's. That is, I also think they can be repetitive. You can see a lot of similarities between people's, but you would not want to see yours reading exactly like someone else's mission statement. So I think that is a risk with using some of the AI generators because they can only pull but so much information. So going through, rereading those, making sure that they're getting across what you really want to say about your operation, that it's true to who you are.
We did have a comment that went to the hosts and panelists saying, after this class, I know we have to review my family's mission statement for the farm. So if this has provided some inspiration for you, we're happy that Charley was able to do that for you. But do we have other questions? Charley, there might be some people in the room today, our virtual room, that might not have written a mission statement or vision statement, or maybe they've tried and that just doesn't flow with them. What is your advice to kind of kickstart it? And if they don't want to use AI and go through that route, for some help, what would you suggest to kind of get them off the mark, to get them started um, on mission or vision statements or writing out their values?
So I love Purdue Extensions, and it stopped sharing. Hold on one second.
You're sharing,
There
you're
we go.
showing. There you go.
I do love Purdue Extensions publication, and I'll share this with the two of y'all so y'all can send it out or post it wherever. And I think I've just got the PDF downloaded. But they have a developing vision and mission statements publication, and I think it's very helpful. They'll remind you of what a vision statement is, what a mission statement is, and then there is a few pages of prompts for you. So they'll ask what is desired, and this is to help you think about your future. So you can go through and write down, and this could be an activity that everybody on the farm does, and then you compare notes afterwards, or this can be something that you do together as a group. But you go through and you can answer these questions. And these are all focused on the future. They say, what will the business be especially good at? What will the roles and the responsibilities of family members and employees involved in your business? So you can go through and write down your answers to all these, and you will notice this question 6 is, what do family members and the business value? So that's where some of your value words come into play on here. And then if you scroll down, this is where you help, and as Krish was getting to, kind of distinguishing between your vision and mission and where they tie in together. And so you can write down your current, what's going to go in your mission. So of your business products or services, and then your preferred future, what you're hoping to do. And it kind of takes you through several different parts of your business. So business products or services, your production practices, your business size and scope, your markets, your management structure, social responsibilities. And so your management structure right now, it might be one manager, maybe a parent, and in the future, you want it to be run by the siblings, all of the siblings. You can put that in there. Or that you have hired on managers, that if that's something that your family wants to move to. Your social responsibilities. This is becoming more and more talked about, especially with corporate companies wanting to fulfill their environmental, social, and government requirements, some of those social responsibilities, your workforce and your customers. And then when you come down here, this is your vision. So again, you're kind of putting everything together from that first page and the second page and what you want your business to look like in 10 years. And I know with the way the markets have been and the way things are rapidly changing, it can be really hard to think about 10 years down the line. You can change this to 3 years, 5 years, whatever you feel more comfortable with picturing down the road, because again, you can update these when you need to. What you want to be recognized by, and then why you're pursuing those activities. So that you put all 3 of those together, and you could put a sentence in each of those, and then that becomes your vision statement. And then down here, they help you develop your mission statement. And sorry, it's jumping. But this, you'll notice that the language changes and it's all current questions. So what business are we currently in? Who are our customers? How does your business go about satisfying your customers' needs? What skills and capabilities is your business especially good at? And so when you answer all these questions together, it should help you put together your mission statement. So what you do, who you're doing it for, and then what makes you unique. So you put those 3 responses together and you get your mission statement. And at the bottom here, they have examples from farms. They provide 5 examples of a vision statement, a mission statement, and this example also gives you, they really spell out what they mean by how they want to treat their employees and their landowners. And then it gives you a little bit of feedback there on how their mission and vision statements are perceived. So that is if you are stumped and not sure where to start, this worksheet is an absolutely fabulous tool to go through. Someone asked for a good avenue to get examples of ranches in the Western US. I would check with the Extension Service for wherever you are. And I can also do a little bit of searching and help send some stuff out through Doris and Carisha. Because I do know that'll look a little bit different for those of you out west than it does in the southern United States. And some of the examples I used from the farms, most of them were on the East Coast, was just simply Googling farms in a region with a mission statement. And with the Google algorithm, it'll pop up and show you which farms do and have those posted on their website. So I discovered a few farms that way. Are there any final questions?
Any other questions for Charley? I was going to mention that I believe I do have a planning document. It might not be super far west, but it is a ranch example that I can share. I was trying to find it while we were still talking, but was unsuccessful in getting it that quickly. So we've gotten very informative. Thank you, Any other questions or comments? We do have a few moments left.
I don't see any other comments. Thank you so much for your time today, Charley. That was very informative, and I know that those that were able to listen in today and those that will be listening to the YouTube recording, that they'll get a lot of it out of it as well.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a great day, one and all, and we look forward to seeing you next month on the showcase, and we'll be featuring Minnesota next month. So we'll go from one extreme weather-wise to another. Thanks again, Charley, and thank you all for your attendance today.